Finding Jesus at the heart of the Gospels. Finding Jesus at the heart of His love. Learning about the things that He said. Finding His love and guidance for living. Seeking the gospel and following His ways. We are finding Jesus at the heart of the Gospels. Finding Jesus at the heart of His love. There is common ground we found in the four Gospels and beyond, but anchored in His teachings and wisdom. Seeking Jesus, we are searching His word. Seeking Jesus, we are resting in His grace. We are the Good News Fellowship, growing and following His love. We are the Good News Fellowship, seeking Jesus' guidance from His word. We find peace on this common ground, allowing space to grow. We find peace on this holy ground. Sacred ways are felt and unity is sound. Peace in the knowing that this good news can be found. Jesus at the center of our hearts. 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 Welcome to our Good News Fellowship. Welcome to our Good News Fellowship.
Hi, everybody. Good to have you at Good News Fellowship. It's our weekly gospel gathering, unfiltered. We just dive deep and explore the good news and find ways to apply a lot of the things we learn and to have a life more abundant. And back by popular demand, my special guests, Nancy and Mark Clayburn. How are you both today?
Oh, good.
We're doing great. Thank you,
Yeah,
Peter.
we gotta.
So good to have you guys here. I always enjoy chatting to you and also hearing what you guys have to say about the gospel. I feel such a babe in arms when it comes to seeing and learning about the unfiltered gospel. So I'll be sitting back and enjoying and appreciating your message today, as will everybody that's watching. It's good to see so many people joining with us today. Welcome, everybody, and please feel free to comment and engage, even as we're unfolding the program today. So yeah, keep the comments coming through and the engagement all happening. Now, kind of loosely, the title of today's program is called Not a Push Button God. Tell us a little bit about that. Then we will go to our theme song and then hand it over to you guys to unpack it some more.
All right. So you know how things go in life, and you wonder, you start asking questions, and then, things just start coming to your mind. When I was talking with Danny about, what to talk about and stuff like that. So we kind of were chatted back and forth, and it just kind of turned out God isn't a push button God. And, he's not a vending machine where we just, press the button and out comes what we want,
Yes, yeah.
We'd like that.
It's so funny. Last night, it wasn't based on your talk. I was just thinking, sorry, it was based on your talk. The title, I'd just been working on the Canva, sorry, on the promo ad for it. And I thought, not a push button God. When we request things from God, like you said, like a vending machine, we want this to happen and this person to do this and whatever. Do we ponder, would we like people to be asking God to push button us? Like, are there people out there praying, oh, I hope Peter doesn't do that and please make him not do this? So it's ridiculous to think that we have some kind of pious, higher moral ground where we can ask God to manipulate people and manipulate our world around us, in ways that are just so overly controlling. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what you add.
And yet I think it's something that we all struggle with at times when God doesn't answer in the way that we expected him to or want him to. So, yeah.
Lately, I've been feeling like, I'm hearing this kind of not a voice. I'm not saying that kind of thing, but well, what do you want? What would you like to have happen in your life? What would you like? And I just go, God, whatever you reckon.
Good one. Yeah. Yes,
Well, we're going to start with our theme song, Let Us Break Bread Together. And I just noticed as I look across to the little button, we're talking about pushing buttons, it's disconnected the song. So I'll just give me a moment to bring it back up, because I really enjoy starting each program with the music. But it'll just take me 30 seconds to do that. And I'm not sure if you can still hear me. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. But you can't see me?
I can see you.
Oh, you can see me as well? Oh, that's good. So I'm just bringing up the Malcolm Clark special music, Let Us Break Bread Together. And I sure hope it is easy to find. He always plays so beautifully. And I just love the chords, the melody, the bass notes. As a musician, it's a real incredible arrangement, this particular one. As a musician, it's a pleasure to listen to it. So here it is. And let's enjoy. Let us break together. Thank you, Malcolm Clark, for that beautiful music. Let us break bread together. Well, I'm going to hand it over to Nancy and Mark to share today's presentation. Over to you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that beginning music there, and it brings a calm. Definitely brings calmness.
It does, yes. It's a good theme song.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to give a little bit of a story, but my wishing God was a push button God, right? in our beginning, when our son, well, all through his life really, but in the last 4 years that we've been struggling with recovering him and bringing him back, and not even knowing what happened to him and why he fell apart. But and nobody being able to tell us, and nobody being able to just give us the right thing to get him better. You would have nights where you just angry at God. Why don't you just heal him? We're praying and praying and praying our hearts out, and we don't really know what we're supposed to do here, but we would just love for you to, and then you try to be, the good little girl. Well, if I'm just good, will you please hear my prayer? And you just, and the struggle was real. I mean, it was so real. But as the years have one just roll into another, I just know that God has matured us in that, and that God, he desires relationship. He doesn't just desire instant results. We're here for a purpose, and he's here to teach us. And we'll go into that more too about, were you going to say something?
Yeah.
Teaching us. But I'd like to start out with the scripture of Jeremiah 33:3.
Mm-hmm. And it says, "Call to me, and I will answer you and tell you great and incomprehensible things you do not know." So that's pretty amazing that God's basically telling us, look, I'm going to reveal to you things that otherwise you would not be able to comprehend. You wouldn't get it if I didn't reveal it to you and show it to you. Sometimes I think we get where, we think we're pretty smart, or, we're intellectual, or, if we just put together all the right evidence, but God's clearly telling us that there are things that you're never going to comprehend them no matter what you do unless I reveal them to you, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah. And then John 15:4-5. Start with those. And, when he's going to show us great and mighty things, and like Mark said, we think we kind of know everything, but God is infinite in every direction. We think, well, this is how he's supposed to heal, just do this and this and this. And you do all those things and it doesn't happen. And then what do? Give up and just say, oh, guess God just doesn't want him better. No, we dig deeper and deeper and deeper, and we prayed, Lord, show us, I can't do this. Show me what he needs to get well. And it is a very, very slow, imperceptible process. But through it all, God just keeps showing us, and we just keep learning. So we just find that, if you have a closed mind, God can't speak to a closed mind. You gotta, and people say, oh, I've had people tell me, oh, that's New Age to have an open mind or whatever. But God can't talk to a closed trap. You have to be able to listen to him and discern his spirit. Because John 15:4-5 says,
"Remain in me, and I in you, just as a branch is unable to produce fruit by itself unless it remains in the vine, neither can you unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. The one who remains in me, and I in him, produces much fruit, because you can do nothing without me.
So we could think we have it in some little neat box and know exactly what to do, read the book, and this is how it goes, but then you find out what an infinite God really is. So push button thinking treats God like a tool rather than a father. And so what have we learned here? That God wants us to abide with him, to walk with him, and to learn his ways. So how long does it take to develop a relationship? And what does it take? Ponder those questions, and people can answer it too. But it takes a lot of time every day. It takes conversation. And the biggest thing is that it takes is trust. And I think that if people don't get what they want initially, they lose interest and they lose the trust. They don't trust God. They say, well, I don't feel God. I don't see God doing the things that I'm hoping that he'll do. So I don't think he loves me. I don't think he's really there. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Does anybody have that experience ever?
Yeah.
John in the comments writes, John 15:5 must be kept in mind when applied to the sanctified life. It is part and parcel of every word that proceeds from the mouth of God.
Yeah, but how to apply it all at times, that's our challenge, and that's
how to apply. And it's interesting how we feel that we are somehow part of the equation, which we are in the sense of, particularly in your case, of offering that personal care to your amazing son, and the incredible effort and time it takes to do that. So you're part of the component with that, but in the big picture of outcomes and where are we going, and why isn't this happening, and why isn't that happening? It's hard to ascertain what, if anything, we can do in that. You've almost got to just submit and let go, and that's hard to do.
Yeah, we've tried every single angle, just sitting there. Oh, God will just do it,
Yeah. And still it doesn't happen. Yeah.
Like John, you said, without me, you can do nothing. That was like in our upper verse there is, apart from me, you can do nothing. And I say that to God, even in my artwork, I just stop and say, in each day, I can't do this day. I can't paint this. I can't do anything without you. And I acknowledge that, and that is part of allowing God's kingdom to grow inside of you. It's the sanctifying and the growing, as our God's kingdom.
And what happens when you get to the end of your life and you look back and nothing had changed? What do you do then? As you sit back and you look back and go, God, particularly with the requests that you've made, what if it doesn't change in that whole lifetime, and you look back over your life? How do you then, how do you feel grateful? How do you feel a knowledge of learning, or where have I come from? Where am I going? What was the reason for all of this? I guess we want a sense of what's the reason, what's the meaning behind it.
That's
absolutely
perfect. Yeah. And I've asked that question so many times. What is the purpose of living this life? Because it can be so darn hard, and the trials can be so deep and heart-wrenching.
And maybe because we're in a world where everybody gets to have their freedom of choice, and therefore it's a fallen world. I used to surf, and I remember that from the beach to beyond the breakers, all the whitewash, it was rough to get out there. You'd have to kind of take a bit to go through all the stuff, and you'd finally get past the waves, and you'd sit there and dangle your feet in the water, and it was way more peaceful. But
I
in
love
many
that.
ways, life on this earth is in the whitewash, and the bad stuff happens, and you get churned and kicked off your board and thrown in the sand, and you come up for air again, and you keep paddling towards the open sea. But this world might just be only the whitewash and the waves crashing on us. Maybe that's just it. There is no, because of the fallen nature of the world, maybe there is no respite, no true understanding. Just find as much peace as you possibly can in all the waves, because hopefully one day we will be beyond that. But in the meantime, maybe it's impossible to find absolute meaning and purpose, but in understanding that and letting go, there's a quiet comfort in that.
Yeah, I think
I'm just spinning out ideas.
Yeah, I think the miracle is that, Jesus said, my peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you.
Yes, that's right.
And that the miracle is that you can find peace in the midst of all of that.
That's right.
All
that's
of that, there is still peace. And, one of the other things that just has kind of been one of these mind shifts, I guess, for us here in more recent years is that we can, everyone has circumstances in their life where you can just give up in despair, basically, right? You can just say, life is too hard, and I just don't really feel like it anymore. But then the other is that you can always live in hope, whether that's in this life or in the life to come or whatever it is. There's always hope if you want to focus on that side of it. And so, we've decided, and not that we don't have any struggles at all, but we've decided that we'd rather live in hope than we would in despair. And so it's really that kind of a choice. I had a conversation with a gentleman this week and earlier, and he was telling me about the rough upbringing that he had, and the broken home that he grew up in. And then I want to say he said he was 16 years old or something, and came home one day and he couldn't get in his own house, and he knocked on the door, and his mother came to the door and said, "Hey, I couldn't get in the house." She said, "Yeah, I changed all the locks. You're out." And he said, "What do you mean I'm out?" "Yeah, you're out. You don't live here anymore." And he's like, "Well, can I come in and get my stuff?" "No, you can't. You're out. You're gone." And, he shared some other things and stuff, but he got kicked out of high school when he was in the 10th grade and so on, but he said, "You know what?" He said, "My wife asked me, would you change anything about the way you grew up or whatever, your life?" And he said, "No, it made me who I am today," And so, I think all of us can, we might want to change some things in our life, but, all those things are what makes you who you are. And, whether you're an honest and trustworthy person, whether you're resilient, whether you can be there, when things get tough. And because, hey, we all have different experiences, but everyone struggles with something in their life.
So, a good parent just fix everything for their kid, right? If they did, the kid's going to grow up sort of, weak and not able to manage their own emotions. So God doesn't bypass growth by instant fixes. But, one of the things I thought of is God, he wants to teach us how, not just what. So Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, you all know that one: trust in the Lord with all your heart, and he will direct your path. And, those words come to my mind a lot, trust in the Lord and he's going to direct my path. But he doesn't just lay that path out in front of you either. You have to seek for that path and just keep asking the Lord, keep showing me, keep showing me. So in Psalm 32:8, he says, I will instruct you and teach you in the way that you should go. And sometimes those ways that you should go isn't what you thought it would be at all. And you might even learn something new.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where, I don't care who you are, life humbles you.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Life humbles you. That's a good one.
So God, he's more concerned about what we are becoming than quick solutions. Even raising your girls there, you want to. I homeschooled my 2 kids, and my goal was to make sure they knew how to read, to write, do their arithmetic, but also to know how to find answers for themselves.
Yes, 100%. Yeah,
that was the thing. I didn't want to just, feed them.
Yeah.
Equip
them with the tools.
Yeah, be curious. Look for the answers. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So the direction comes a lot of times step by step. It doesn't come all at once. I would like God just to lay it all out before me. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Every day is something else, another step to take. We'll do that step for a while. And I say, well, we aren't there yet, Lord. Is there something else? And then they'll show me something else or bring somebody else into my life that can help me take the next step. And we'll do that for a while. And this is it. This is the time when he's going to do it this time, right?
Yeah.
And then it doesn't happen. And it's like, what now? And another person comes into our life. And that seems to be the way it has gone. God is there at times. I can tell you hundreds of stories where God just stepped in and paved the way. Lots of stories. Someday I would love to give all those stories.
But a lot of times that's just a person that reached out to us and gave us a word of encouragement or something,
Someday it would just show up
at the right time.
Yeah, I'd be so down and depressed. We lived in Florida. I walk on the beach with Seth every day. I said, Lord, where are your angels? Where are your people? And invariable, somebody would come up and, just want to lay hands on my son, just pray for it, just because the Lord inspired them. Or, they showed up because I was fighting these deep questions in my mind, and they would just come up and bring me the answer, So deep in many surprising way how God, he wants to build that wisdom and maturity in each one of us.
And just using my analogy of the surfing and then the breakers, one little thing I noticed, that if it was a particularly bad, rough day, well, obviously sometimes you just wouldn't go out. You just sit on the sand. But if you're in the water, trying to push really hard against the waves would give you a greater pushback. And so you'd learn to kind of just dive under, and you'd learn to kind of pace yourself. And sometimes life, that analogy can be the same. Sometimes we desire so much for God to give us the answers and to push us forward. But in the very act of moving forward, we are trying too hard. And sometimes we've got to be like, water flowing down a stream, that it comes to a challenge or a rock. It doesn't push against the rock. It just flows around it. And I know with surfing, you just flow under it. And so there were ways to find, like you mentioned, Mark, this kind of peace even within the storm. And it always came when I was least trying to make it happen, at least trying to make sense of the waves. But it's I think the nature of being human on this planet is going to be always a difficult, almost adversarial push and pull. And it's always about finding that peace and understanding as the waves crash all around us.
through it all. And that's part of the maturity of growing into one of God's, kingdom people. I mean, his kingdom lives within us, and one of those growth points is the peace through difficult times.
Yeah.
And that's a sign that you are growing in God. And that's what he said. He wants us. He's more concerned about how we're heading in life rather than a quick fix.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How we're heading and how we're actually engaging with that heading forward.
Yeah. And engaging with people that can drive us nuts.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know that one.
So instead of God, saying, fix this for me, we can ask God, and this is what I've learned along the way, teach me how to walk through this.
Yeah.
Teach me to have that, what you want me to have through this, because I don't know. Yeah. And there it goes to like James 1:5. And if any of you lack wisdom, we can ask of God and he'll give us that wisdom.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then Matthew 7:7 says, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. So there's two key words.
Ask and seek.
Yeah. Ask and seek.
Yeah.
That means it might not be in plain sight.
Yeah. That's yes.
Yeah. It might not be well laid out in, a book. So, God welcomes our questions, not just our requests. We could sit there and pray all day long, fix this, fix that, help them, help this, give me this, give me that, I need that, all these things. But I've learned to ask a lot of questions. So be like inquisitive to God, because that's how he teaches. It's through questions.
Through asking, yeah.
Yeah, and asking for the wisdom, When you're asking for wisdom, that requires humility and patience. Because I have learned to ask God for something, and I just say, in your time, at a moment least expected by me, because that's when I know it's from you. I mean, he used to I'd ask, and then I'd say, just put red letters through my brain at some point, with the words or whatever, and there's times where God would did that, or he'd just give me a picture of something. But a lot of times it's like, the push button faith would be, give me the answer now. But what develops our relationship with God is waiting and knowing that the right thing will come at the right time.
Yeah.
And then you're pursuing listening, and you're pursuing that relationship with God.
Can I ask you a question based on that? In a lot of people's lives, challenges ebb and flow, big, small, little. We all face them, and they all come to us. In situations like the one that you both find yourself in, it seems to me a little bit different to that, in that you have your normal life challenge that ebb and flow and come and go, but there's a massive kind of right present in front of you all the time challenge that must be heartbreaking and must be something that continually confronts you. And how do you deal with that? Because a lot of the issues you're talking about apply to the average person, and I'm not saying that others that don't have what you're going through, but it just seems to me your situation is magnified tenfold, because not only do you have these normal issues that all humans face, there's other things that challenge you on a very deep and consistent level. How do you, so people that are watching that might find themselves in that situation too, what kind of pastoral care can you offer to them for that next level kind of hardship? Does that make sense?
Yeah, either way, some things are so deep and so painful that, I could wake up often 1, 2, or 3 in the morning, and then my mind will start going, and in the night it generally goes south. If you've ever, I'm sure many have experienced that. It's like all the negative stuff comes up, and you want to try to get rid of that. I can pray all I want at that time, but it still wants to plague me. So I have learned to, I pursue that learning. I get up and say, enough of this because I'm wasting time. So I get up and, I'm studying to be a naturopathic doctor. I want to know more. I'm studying all kinds of things right now. I'm studying art. I'll have an oil painting going or a colored pencil art going. And I can get up and I can delve into that. And I can, there's certain things that you can do to just put happiness and joy back into your heart and life, because there's always the demons that want to take it away. That never goes away. And so you have to learn how to imprint yourself and ask God to put those things back in you. And it can be as simple as just saying it to yourself, I am full of joy. I am full of happiness. I'm full of peace. And Lord, you give me those gifts daily, and I claim those things. So it's a turning of the mind, even if you put your hand on your heart and your head and you just tell yourself those things.
Right.
It works, because you're putting it in there and you're pushing the other out, because I don't know, I've experienced, I could pray till I'm blue in the face and it doesn't just change it. I could pray all day and I say, Lord, you haven't fixed this inside of me yet. So I have to take the steps. And one of the greatest things for me is gratitude. If I wake up and I just thank God for everything that's around me, that really helps a lot.
So, yeah. And I, obviously Nancy and I have lived this together, because our son's problem started when he was 7 months old. So it's just
been a lifetime commitment.
Yeah, and then have gotten worse from the COVID thing, but I know that God has answers and ways.
So we've had, it's been an up and down thing his whole life, high times and low times. But it was here a few years ago now, that because I had times where I was angry at God. I was mad. You just didn't live up to your end of the bargain, and you commanded us to heal the sick as part of the gospel commission, and all these things I really struggled with. And
he said we would be doing greater things, and well, where is it?
A lot of that. And so I finally came to this, as you're asking, how might this help other people? Because, yes, it's difficult because it doesn't go away. It's with us 24/7. But so I came to this understanding, if you will, and that is that God in his infinite wisdom and his sovereignty planned this for our lives. And so I can either accept that this is part of God's plan for me while I'm here on this earth, or I can fight against it. So you have the choice, right? So I can fight against God, or I can accept the fact that in some way, God in his infinite wisdom chose this not to harm me and not to hurt me and not to hurt my son, but to somehow grow us and to be hopefully an encouragement to others as they, struggle to understand God's kingdom and his ways and so on. And, I've been a believer for a long time that if you look at the judgment scene, it's all about how you treated other people. And, the other is that, when you, like in our situation, we've been encouraged at times by different people over the years to basically let our problem go somewhere else and whatever happens. So I don't want to say that too loud because my son's, in the room and so on. But in other words, that we just pass this off to other people to take care of it and go on your way and live your life. But it's that was never an option for us, because we've taken the approach is that, well, how far do you go in trying to help and fix and heal and so on? And, we've come to the conclusion is that that's what love does. It hopes all things,
believes all things,
it endures
all things.
It doesn't fail. So, you don't give up on your friends, on your loved ones, on your whoever it is in your life, because that's what love does. It doesn't give up.
Yeah. So,
and God doesn't give up on us. And so that's part of the humility thing there, is recognizing that I don't deserve any of this. God, in his grace, his love, and his mercy, he offers me the gift of salvation and the forgiveness of my sins. So, when we look at that, how God doesn't give up on us, no matter how many times we've slipped and fallen and those kind of things, then, we realize that.
And we understand that there's very, very difficult cases for people out there when they need to, bring somebody somewhere to have care, but
Sure.
they still don't walk away from them,
No.
Are there
Right.
for them. Yeah. And do your best, because not everybody's situation is the same as ours, or has to be the same as ours. Everybody is different and in a different place, but I've just learned a lot of perseverance. I think it's just, he gave me perseverance, so I just keep finding ways to move forward and finding ways to I know that I cannot fall apart, okay? And I know that stress is a killer. And so I have to divert stress, and I have to ask God to take away the stress and to show me how to be cheerful and happy and bless other people because people don't want to just hear about your stuff all the time. You can't be bringing people down.
And
you want to help people.
And you trust that, when God tells you that he's working all together for your good, he truly is working all together for your good, even though, like we read earlier there, it's incomprehensible to us sometimes to understand how the good can come out of some situations. It's a trust and a belief thing that is something good will come from this. And the other thing that over the years that really was kind of a help to me in a strange kind of a way is that if you look throughout the Old Testament prophets, many of them never saw one stitch of fruit for their whole lives.
Yes, it's true.
In fact, their reward is that they got stuck in a log and sawn in half or whatever it was. It wasn't there's been many that have come before us that remain faithful to God, and that's a real inspiration. Yeah.
Can I ask another question about this? And I know we're sidetracking a little bit, but I know that a lot of viewers go through struggles in life, and if you hear other people's stories, it can help other people's journey.
Absolutely.
So have you found, we were chatting off air, where we've all come from a different kind of religion that had quite a high control aspect to it, and in many ways a false account of the gospel. Have you found, since leaving that and embracing the unfiltered gospel, in actuality, in life itself, has that made the journey a little bit easier?
Absolutely, because I don't feel, what was I going to say? Because it came to my mind right at that time, but I don't feel restricted in my search for answers. Where I was before, if you went to a chiropractor, the most conservative ones might say, well, that's a skeleton in your closet, that's demonic. Or if you did acupuncture, that's demonic, it's going to let the devils in. If you do anything outside of what they thought, then I was inhibited. I don't think I would be where I am right now in the healing of my son with those inhibitions, because I was always afraid to try anything different.
Right.
And that's how I found that there's an infinite God. He has an infinite way to heal each and every person that goes every single direction. He's there, he has a way.
I would say too, Peter, that it made it infinitely easier in this regard, is that we now feel safe and secure in God's gift of salvation.
Yeah, too.
And that's not an added burden, which is a heavy burden to carry besides.
Yeah.
And that, before we felt we had to dress perfectly, we had to eat perfectly according to someone else's standard of those things, what that meant. Those were defined, how you should dress, how you should eat, the day you should worship, all these things. And, if you broke those things, or you went against those laws or rules in any way, you deviated, you became uncertain of your salvation and your standing before God. And so that was a very much added heavy burden that we were carrying for a very long time. So yes, it's made it infinitely easier to know that we receive the gift of eternal life from God apart from any works that we could do. And then, like Nancy said, I don't know how much context we need, but basically the religion we came from, had a prophetess that gave very detailed instructions on diet and so on, right? And so, and then you couple that together with, I want to say it's Deuteronomy 29 something now, where it basically says if the Israelites followed all these things, that none of these diseases would come upon them. And so for many years, we applied that to our lives, that if we just did this diet plan perfectly enough, then God would hear our prayer and heal our son. So yes, that was a very heavy burden to bear for a long time, and having a clear understanding of the true gospel has made everything in life infinitely easier.
Yeah. And uncovering all the emotional baggage is so important. Emotions take us down more than anything else. Emotions is a huge killer. So it's really important that, we battle against negative and down emotions, and always look up to the positive, and always try to find a way to be positive. If you can't within yourself, listen to something, read something, talk to somebody, but you've got to hang on to that side. So, and then 2 Corinthians 12, 8 and 9. For Paul, God didn't remove his thorn. What did he give him instead? He gave him his grace. So, the lesson here is dependence on God instead of instant relief. Paul asked God several times, take this thorn away. And Luke 11:1, with Jesus' disciples, says, Lord, teach us to pray. They didn't ask for power. They didn't, just give us power, but they wanted instruction. They wanted to have that instruction. And so, waiting and learning, it builds trust. You're either going to go one way or the other. You're either going to build your trust or you're going to scrap it and say, I'm done with this, doesn't work. And that's where perseverance comes in, like Isaiah 40:31. That verse says, they that wait upon the Lord, they shall renew their strength. Yeah. And so people how do you keep going? I said, well, God just keeps giving us the strength. It must be your prayers, So you pray for others. And Psalm 27:14, wait on the Lord and be of good courage. So that's a command, really. Be of good courage, but you have to grow into that. It's not, I just read this, be of good courage. You have to, all right, ask God, how do I have that courage?
Yeah.
It's not just land courage in my soul.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, be of good courage. Done. There's a certain discipline to bringing about those kind of feelings of, being of good courage.
Yeah, and that can be a lifetime event, because when I was pregnant with my child, I prayed for patience. And people say, oh, don't you know you're not supposed to
Careful
do that?
what you ask for.
So I've been driven to the max with that one. Oh, boy. And years and years and years of developing, patience, Oh, you're so patient. I said, not really. That's a lifetime. So, and one thing we got to remember is that, waiting isn't punishment. I always thought I was just being punished by God, before I understood his salvation. I thought I was being punished all the time. When things went wrong, I was just always blamed it on myself and oh, what did I do this time, God? Just tell me so I can fix it and correct it. I was always feeling punished. But waiting with God is preparation. I mean, it's preparing us. I figured that we're being prepared to work in his kingdom,
Yeah.
Everything he puts us through is preparing us. He says we'll be ruling with him. Who are we going to rule? I don't know yet, but somehow he's preparing people that are, can have that compassion. We all need to be developing compassion. And he uses all these processes just to deepen our faith. You look like you wanted to say something.
I don't know. There's just always that element of that. We all could live in the attitude of being a victim to life. So a lot of it is that the strength is there from God. Tap into that, or we can.
Sorry, we just lost you there for a second. Can you just say that again? We just lost you there for a second.
Yeah. So, we can choose really how we want to live our life. So we can live the life of a victim to life, because it's difficult. And, I think, Jordan Peterson says, basically life is, brutally hard and full of malevolence, and it is really in many ways.
Yeah.
So, we all can be a victim, or we can say, that we can tap into the strength that God offers to every one of us, to continue on in hope and courage.
Mm. M. Scott Peck's book, The Road Less Traveled, his opening line, first sentence is, "Life is a struggle."
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people will tell me that all the time. Life is hard. Life is hard,
But you need to find respite and joy and contentment within that. You need to find the peace between the breakers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think you can.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that, yeah.
Romans 8, it says that God will make us more than conquerors. And so many, many, many years, I can't even tell you how many of my life, I had the attitude that life was meant to be endured.
Yeah.
You just endure life.
Yeah.
But that in Romans,
because the Bible said endure to the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, then.
Yeah. So
endure to the end, but don't be discouraged. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's right. Yes. Exactly. But when it says that He'll make us more than conquerors, if you look that up and dig into that, He's saying, I'll make you more than just a gutted out kind of experience. I truly will make you more than a conqueror. So it's not just, I gutted it out and I got through it. He wants to give us a life that lives above all of that, and that's a wonderful promise. And I found it to be true. Now, are there times when I haven't tapped into that and I wanted to go, into the poor me syndrome? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I have.
But we find that when you go that route, life is pretty miserable.
But,
so we'd rather be happy.
I was not happier or better off for going there.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
No.
I have this weird thing where no matter the challenges of the day or the challenges of coming ahead tomorrow, I go to sleep happy every night. It's only something that's happened in the last 2 years.
Oh,
but I don't know, there was a big shift that was like a dark night of the soul kind of thing that lasted for 2 or 3 months. And then I burst out of it. I can even remember the day. It was April. Sorry, lost you there again. I even remember the day. It was April 30, 2022. And ever since then, I just, no matter and life hasn't necessarily gotten easier. The struggles are all there.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I get to go to sleep happy every night. So that's
that's really exciting. Yeah.
And I feel like it's attached in some way to this little group, the Good News Fellowship, where I just felt like maybe there was light at the end of the tunnel, that there was a way to find peace between the breakers, and there was a big letting go feeling as well. And
wonderful.
So I'm not claiming any great thing at all, but I'm just noting.
No, it's really, I think
happens.
that's the growth. Yeah, that's your growth. And
well, there's something else that come to my mind real quick. Just and it is that God tells us that it's not a wise thing for us to compare ourselves among ourselves, and so it's really easy to say, oh, that person over there, their life is so good, and so they have it so easy and so much better, blah blah blah. But if you were to talk to them long enough, you'd find out what their struggles were too.
Exactly. And my days and my struggles are just the same, if not worse in some ways. So I'm not trying to claim some pathway to enlightenment. I guess I'm just highlighting that somewhere inside this good news, I have found some respite, and it manifests itself for me in head on pillow at night and just feeling a surge of happiness, and then going to sleep.
Yeah, and that's the faith, that's the mustard seed that starts out small, and then it grows in you. God's kingdom grows in you, and
because
then
you watered it, nurtured it,
and then then eventually it spills out to other people.
Right. Yes. Yes.
That's how his kingdom spreads, is by the Holy Spirit, and then it grows in you, and then you can't contain it. It keeps flowing,
Yeah. That's
You
why I
become,
value so much your and Mark's presentation and others who have been presenting on Good News Fellowship. Is we are all sharing the little bits of insights that we have. We're sharing the load. Like Frank Marandino wrote a bit earlier. Share your pain and it's cut in half. Share your joy and it's doubled. And in many ways, that's what we're trying to do here. We're all, babes in the woods, and we're all trying to work our way through stuff. But something happens when we share our stories, and we share the load. And I think it's working.
I feel guilty sharing my story. I have a story. We all have a story, but sometimes I feel like, guilty. I shouldn't really, I don't.
But I think it never comes across as if you're saying, "Oh, I'm a poor me victim" at all. You're just being honest and authentic. And I think people respond to hearing other people share their authentic stories. We're not seeking perfect stories of overcoming. We're hearing stories of on the road.
Yep.
We're on the road, and we want to be heading in the right direction.
Yep, and that road might fall into a pothole.
Yes, that's right. There's potholes, and let's gather around those that have fallen in the potholes and try and help them get out of the potholes. Yeah. Anyway, I'll stop interrupting because we are going to have book club after today's program.
Yeah, I'm almost done here. So, trust grows when we rely on God's guidance. We're walking hand in hand. It takes a long time, at least for me anyway, to really get this relationship with God and how it works. So I this experience with it really, yeah. So shift your prayers from God, do this for me, or heal this person, heal that person, or, we need this or that, the other thing, to teach me what you want me to learn. Guide my steps, not my outcome, and show me how to walk in your will. So those are important. And so, Psalm 25, 4 and 5 is a good closing scripture here.
If I can find it quickly.
Oh.
Psalm
25, 4 and 5.
Just while you're doing that, Mark, I want to encourage everyone to lean forward and click that like button if you're watching on YouTube. We're also going live today inside our Good News Fellowship Facebook group. Some of you may not be aware that that's a thing. Well, it is, and there's over 300 or 400 members there. So look it up on Facebook or request a link. And just clicking like and subscribe really helps. Over to you, Mark.
Yeah, okay. Psalm 25, 4 and 5. Make your ways known to me, Lord. Teach me your paths. Guide me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. I wait for you all the day long.
Yeah. And so just to wrap that up, the whole closing thought here is God is not a push button God. Bummer, right? He is a wise teacher, a loving father, and a faithful guide. When we ask him how, we get to grow. When we walk with him, we get to learn. And when we trust him, we are transformed.
Love it. Yeah. When we trust him, we are transformed, and he is waiting. It's right there right now, waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when we become believers, we have the Holy Spirit dwelling within us. It's God's seal. It's his down payment. on eternal life. And so we all have that as true believers. We all have His Spirit to tap into that's dwelling within us.
Yeah, and sometime we can do a talk which kind of segues with this into God's kingdom. I'm sure that's been talked about quite a bit here.
We need to talk about it more because
we are God's kingdom.
Yeah. We'll check with Danny, and maybe in 2 or 3 weeks come back, and while it's fresh in our minds, do that segue into the God's kingdom and the living in that kingdom now. The kingdom is here and now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It all kind of goes together,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Nancy and Mark. I really appreciate and thank your message, and thank you for letting me throw some thoughts and ask some questions along the way.
We love it. We love
I appreciate it.
Keeps you thinking.
Thank you. It's good to be with all of you.
Yeah.
Great to have you here. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And yes, just a reminder that Rochelle Anonymous, she runs SDAQ&A Book Club for me. And at the moment, we're reading Prophetess of Health, which is that book there. And I'll put right this second is the Zoom link. And that is now in the chat, and that will be kicking off in 15 minutes. So if you'd like to click the link whenever you're ready and join us there. We'll go out with Break Bread Together again. That notion of breaking bread is like also opening up stories and sharing them as well as hopefully literally doing it here on Zoom, and maybe on Good News Fellowship, and maybe one day we'll even get to meet in the real world. So as we go out playing this song for a minute or two, please in the comments share your gratitude towards Mark and Nancy for their special presentation today, and to give them courage to continue on in the journey and to find joy between the breakers. Thanks, guys.
Blessings.
Yeah.